Led Zeppelin is my second favorite band of all time. And when I'm in the mood, they're my favorite band of all time. Because all other genres and bands below it, even Pink Floyd, would have to, if the Beatles magically dropped off my list, Zeppelin 1, Pink Floyd number 2, and I'd have about a 5-way tie for who would inherit 3. A vast majority of my early subscribers came over because of my Led Zeppelin content. Well, I went through their albums. I told tales of Led Zeppelin at times. I did top 10 lists of Led Zeppelin, and I've been off that for a couple of years now, with the exception of when they come back into the news. When their movie came out, I was, happening at that time. Whenever Robert Plant does something interesting, and he is coming to the States this year, he'll be in California in the fall, and not too far away. I'm looking at the tickets, and I'm not sure I want to pay it, but I'd love to see him. I want to cover not only the albums, but I want to cover them in history. So, for example, in the past, I may have done, like I did a video that Led Zeppelin almost started 2 years earlier, okay? If you're new to the channel or as a member, you ought to go see that. It's one of my bigger videos. Where in 1966, Page was working with Jeff Beck. They invited Keith Moon and John Entwistle, but John Entwistle wound up not making the recording. So they brought a good friend of Jimmy's in, John Paul Jones, to play bass. And you had Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, and they were working on Beck's Bolero. That's what happened. And they had Nicky Hopkins on keyboards. And they were all, including Nicky, thinking very seriously about forming a band. And the name Led Zeppelin was bandied about. And they were looking for vocal talents. Terry Reid. Jimmy Page had several vocalists, and they would have all been magnificent. I don't think Led Zeppelin would be looked back on with the reverence that it is now if it had happened 2 years earlier, because there is no freaking way in the planet Jeff Beck was going to hang around for any amount of albums. He might get a second album out of him. Nicky Hopkins always liked to eschew from the spotlight, so you might get a second album out of him. And Keith Moon was on a self-destruction that he certainly wouldn't be around in 5 or 6 years for them to continue to dominate an entire decade. He was on a path of destruction, and that's exactly what happened to him. So, but it could have happened. Well, all right, so I'll do stories like that. And then I'll do Led Zeppelin 1, or like Royce did, Led Zeppelin 3 the other night. But I would do videos, and I'd get up Led Zeppelin 1, right? And I think it was before I even got into vinyl. I'd do these things, and I'd put little pictures, you know how I do it, and of the album cover, and we would cover it, and I'd give a review. I've done videos where I think, what is Robert Plant's lyrics all about here, right? And stuff like that. What I would like to do is start from the beginning, probably with that first recording session with Jeff Beck. But instead of using that as a whole video or as a whole stream, I would like the beginning of that story to meld in to the recording and production and release of this album. Now, if there is one this is Led Zeppelin, not Led Zeppelin 1. This is Led Zeppelin. I don't see a 1 on there. No, this is Led Zeppelin, but most of us call it Led Zeppelin 1. As reference, it's like Santana, you had Santana album, Cherry Bob. Did I flinch? I felt my heart jump. Yeah, we're in the country. People shoot off their guns, and illegal fireworks and stuff all the time. Now, where was I? I would either cover, a general review. What I would like to do is all encompassing. So if I started the story with this album, and the first recording session, tied it in with this album, review the album as I have in the past. And you know what? It's been 3 years since I've reviewed these albums, and I've done a lot more listening to Led Zeppelin, probably, than I have of the Beatles, to be honest with you, throughout the history of this channel. But that's also me just being in that general mood, too. Done plenty of listening to Beatle material as well. But then when I get to this album, then, include all the elements that I've done at one time or another. A more full, the telling of the tale of Led Zeppelin. I want to do that really bad. And then maybe after that, I could take on the Beatles in the same way. I miss talking about this band. I really do. And it's really tough to connect them to anything current. That's just all there is to it. And over at Jose's, by the way, they were talking about one person. I think he then said I was joking, so he may have been aware of that. Because I've been aware of a rumor that they're going to do this hologram show at Las Vegas Sphere. May it die a horrible death. And I don't think I flinched that time, did I? They're setting them off all over the place here. But, and that they were going to do a hologram show at the Las Vegas Sphere, and that the tickets were going to go for $1,000. Well, that's a rumor. There was some talk about Jimmy Page, the ex-members, talking about it. It piqued their interest, but none of the band members could agree on what the format would be, what they wanted included with it and everything, and it died a horrible death, and thank God it did. Led Zeppelin at the Las Vegas Sphere. No way. No way. All right? And if you guys like the Las Vegas Sphere, more power to you. But I think it's the death of rock and roll, and it is the one structure I hate the most. There are other venues out there, these residencies and everything. Oh, Led Zeppelin's long since dead. That's all right. We can tour them as holograms. I've conceded that if you want to go see them and get a thrill ride, they're fine. But I don't like them. I don't like them. And I would not go to the Las Vegas Sphere to see it. So when they were talking over there, I live in a f***ing war zone, folks. Ranchers, you can't shoot them and you can't live with them. Jesus Christ. Oh, thank you. So anyway, this article, yeah. You're diverting my attention. Stop it right now. The power of the tribe. Okay, where did I have this? Let's see. Maybe I still have it in Safari. Let me check this out. Oh my God, there it is. All right. So there was this article on, ranking Led Zeppelin's albums. This is from Esquire Magazine. Esquire ranking Led Zeppelin. What's next? Town and Country? Anyway. And here's how they rank the Led Zeppelin. Of course, they didn't rank Coda. Many lists don't. But if they had, there's no doubt in my mind that Coda would have been ranked last by how they've ranked these albums. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so basically they've got Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, 4, Untitled, Zoso, whatever. Houses of the Holy, Physical Graffiti, Presence, and In Through the Outdoor. Did I miss any? I hope not. So those are the ones they're ranking, and here's how they would rank them. All right, so I'm going to pretend whether I agree with this list or not. I would have included Coda, but it would have been last for me as well. All right, so their least highly ranked album in last place is In Through the Outdoor. I would agree with that. Now, first of all, we're talking about Led Zeppelin, folks. There ain't no bad album, including Coda, of Led Zeppelin. It doesn't exist. It's an impossibility, okay? And there is some fine freaking material on this album. but it is my least favorite album. Not enough Jimmy Page on it, right? And we all know the story. Jimmy was in a bad shape, doing a lot of drugs at this time. And by the way, him and Bonzo were not real ecstatic about this project, and both of them vowing to have more say-so on the next album. And there was going to be a push to get back to the heavy stuff and guitar-laden stuff. And like I said, even with Jimmy kind of wounded in action, Bonzo not doing so great, this is a great album where you find out that a band is a band by its strength of its members. A team, when one player is injured or can't quite do it, the other members of the team put out extra effort to make up for the fact that that isn't happening. And here we see, this is an excellent example of that. Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, taking the helm, writing quite a bit of this album. And it's a great album. It's a masterpiece. But I think all the Led Zeppelin albums are a masterpiece, including Coda if you're using the extended version. What was next down? Well, this doesn't surprise me. These lame asses don't know what they're talking about. Esquire. Of course, they put Presence at number 7, and I know some of you would too. Not me, not in a million years. Presence goes way up on the list. It's not in the top 4, maybe not top 5. I've done a couple of rankings. It would depend how I'm looking at, but it would be in 5th or 6th place for me. And for all the reasons that In Through the Outdoor isn't very high on my list, and that's because this is a kick-ass album. 6th place, they put Led Zeppelin 3. Like I said, Royce just did a show on it, and every member on that panel loved that album. Let's see, where would I rank this? I would rank this as number 7 out of 8 for me. And it's a masterpiece. Just listen to it today. It's a great album. But I don't have the love affair with this album that Royce and Dan and Chris apparently had. Hats off to Roy Harper. You know, if some genie said, I'm sending you to a desert island, Michael, and so you will have no professor there to make a turntable out of coconut shells. So I'm going to supply you with a CD and a lifetime supply of batteries. But here's my deal. See, the genie's actually the devil, right? You've got to choose which song to remove from each album. In other words, every album would have everything on it except for one song. I ought to do a video on that, man. It just came to me. I should do a video on that. And hats off to Roy Harper would be the one I would choose on this. However, I love the effects, the fuzz on Robert Plant's voice and everything else. But it was necessary. And I've often said that Led Zeppelin 3 was necessary, even for the... Now, here's another thing. Royce, they were talking about, all the critics hated it. And all the fans hated it. And yet we've talked about on Royce that that's not quite true. There were critics that disliked it. There was no doubt. Yeah, there was a mixed view. Some of the critics that most fans would say, yeah, that guy's a really big critic, actually liked it. Actually liked the album. And for all the right reasons. But I would have put it lower than this, okay? So I have my say because I didn't get a chance to get up to Royce's. Now, here's another one. 5, Houses of the Holy, far too low. So it's the best of the worst half of the list. Houses of the Holy. Houses of the Holy has the production level and gloss that Abbey Road has. It's one of those albums in rock that would be in my top 10 albums of perfect, glossy albums, no chinks in its armor, including the crunch. Where is that confounded bridge? I love that cut. I love it. I didn't at first. I bought it. I go, that's weird. But it over the years, I go, goddamn, that's a great rhythm and beat and stuff. And we'd see the crunch, those kind of rhythms and things be more prevalent for the rest of Led Zeppelin's career to one degree or another. So Houses of the Holy, where would I rank it? I've been listening to it a lot. As number one. I've ranked it both as number one and number two. And of course, we'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, currently, I'd give it as their best album. It's Led Zeppelin at their most grown up. And it's Led Zeppelin who, this album compares with Close to the Edge of Yes, a prog rock band. There's lots of prog elements, and yet this is still totally Led Zeppelin. This has got the gloss of The Dark Side of the Moon. Now we're in the top four. The Worst of the Better Half. Physical Graffiti. Did I mention this is by freaking Esquire? Number four, Physical Graffiti. Physical Graffiti's number three for me, and at times has been number two. Very big album, but at least it got into the good half. Now, for number three, let's see, where would I rank this one? I would bring Physical Graffiti up more than they do, and I'd bring this one down. However, because at number three, their third best album, they give us the first Led Zeppelin album. Led Zeppelin 1, if you insist, all right? Okay, so what does that mean? For me, I would probably put this at number, just trying to think, 4 or 5. Because as soon as I think of that, then I listen to Led Zeppelin 2. They're both pretty comparable to each other. This is my heartfelt favorite album. And it's not even the first album I ever bought from them. I bought Houses of the Holy. But then I bought this after I got Houses of the Holy. And I go, oh, wait a minute. This is more edgy rock. This is more and I love the production. So I was turned on to Led Zeppelin at what I'm saying is at their peak level. And then I go to their very first album, and I played this thing to death. I tried to figure out that solo that he does on Good Times, Bad Times, and I know exactly how he plays it, and I just can't replicate it, with, especially these days with these crinkly old hands. But amazing guitar solo. This is my heartfelt favorite album. It's the easiest album just to put on. You don't have to be in a mood for it, unless you just aren't in the mood for Led Zeppelin. But that's the easiest album to put on. Closely followed by this puppy, Led Zeppelin 2. So maybe because of Ramble On, Whole Lot of Love, a better production. Remember, this thing was recorded, I'm trying to remember, 35 hours, I think. The Beatles' Please Please Me album was recorded in 12 hours, but if you include the singles they included in on that, it works out to be 30 hours, right? All told. But this one was recorded in 35 hours. That's how long it takes to turn on a light switch in a studio these days, folks. All right, so I wouldn't rank that Led Zeppelin 1 as high as I think I know where they're going. Number 2, Led Zeppelin 2. And I would rank Led Zeppelin 2 slightly over this as far as how well the album's put together and everything, even though I just don't love it to death like I do the first one. But it's worth a higher rank. And of course, the surprise of all surprises, at number 1, Esquire chose Led Zeppelin 4 / Zozo / Four Signs / Untitled. And I have ranked it at number 1, so I can't fault them too much at that. But I at least have the decency to give it a strong rival, which is Houses of the Holy, recorded right after this album. Of course it's slightly better. They were in the zone. And only its production. If you ask me which of those two albums has the strongest song set list of one hit after another, of course it's going to be Untitled. And when I got Untitled, I just brought out my whole Led Zeppelin catalog here tonight, folks. But what would that? It'd have to be before that. Come on, here we go. Yeah. If you notice, when I bought this, I had to get what was it? Was this based on the 50th anniversary? But anyway, I had to get this version here. I had to. And it's been a tick and a half since I've shared this. Look at this album. Look at this vinyl. I love clear vinyl. I love the smell of clear vinyl in the morning. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You know, I love this album, all right? I've spent extra on this album to have it. And the fact that sometimes I'm at the point of ranking it at number 2 doesn't mean that it's not number 1 most of the time, if not half of the time, depending on where my head is. Okay, so that was what I wanted to go through the ranking. I wanted to announce that what we're doing. I need your help. What do you think of my idea of going back all the way and encompassing all the elements that I've tried to as I go through the story of Led Zeppelin? Should I really sink my teeth into the history, get a calendar going, and present the albums at, if I'm covering Led Zeppelin 1 and I have a bootleg that covers Led Zeppelin 1, well, let's bring them both into the discussion. Because I'd like to go forward in time with this. I would like to tell the tale. This is the brainstorming session for a series of videos I want to do. And I want you guys right in on the ground floor. Tell me what you think would get the most views.